Yo, yo, I guess we are live. Just having some issues with my stream, but we should be sorted. Let me know if you can hear me on the microphone. Hopefully it's all working right. How's everyone doing? Are we live? I think we're live. Yep. Shit, that's in the way there. Let's pop out the chat. All right, got some of the homies in the stream. Marcel, how you doing, bro? Downpour. Alex, yes, man, you can send a track over if we have time. I'll get to it. If not, should have got in sooner. So, yeah, there's a link in the description of the video. Yeah. Albuquerque, how you doing, brother? So, guys, pretty much everyone, maybe 4 people didn't send correct links, but this is probably the best success rate for links and stuff that we've had. So, well done, you. Anyway, how are we looking? Got a few people on stream. Ian, what's up, bro? Downpour, my man. Ollie, got your track in here, bro? John, you too? Dose, Alistair Lee, hey, brother. All right, so, hey, Paul, how you doing, brother? Let's get into it, eh? How's everyone? I just updated live to the new version Thursday, Friday. I haven't had to play around with the new synth, which looks cool, but I've had this weird thing where it's acting like really slow. Anyone else having issues like that? Ian, you sent 2 links and neither of them worked, mate. So you got to do better next time with your making sure your links are working correctly. I think they were probably private and you just clicked send, or you just like copied the URL or something. But when I clicked on them, it said like the track was not found, mate. All right. Joe, you're still on live 10. Damn, son. Joe, you're using FL. Condolences. No, I mean, I don't care. I think whatever DAW you use, like, cool. If it works for you, it works for you. So, good stuff. All right, let's jump in. Greg Willow. Needy. Cool. So what I've done this time, normally I go through and rename the tracks with people's names and that kind of thing. And this time I was like, oh, I can't be bothered, you know. So if your track is called like, where's the funny one? If it doesn't have your name in it, don't know who it is. I've got one here called Producer School 3. So yeah. Next time, if you want to have a shout out, then you got to put your name in the track. You got to name it. I do give instructions on how to do it in the post. So yeah. Anyway, let's get in here. Greg. Solid stuff. All right, that is really fucking cool, Greg. Well done, man. Yeah, totally sick. Pretty. I mean, there's not honestly not much to critique about it. My only thought was like this main stab. It's such a feature, and it's a bit static. Like in the break here. Everything sounds pretty well mixed and kind of sitting in the similar space, but I think you could put a little bit more reverb on that main stab. It actually sounds quite cool when it's dry here before the break. It does sound quite cool there because it gives like a good contrast. But I think when it's in the mix with the rest of everything else, it sounds a little bit dry. So I think if you just like added a bit of reverb on it. Let's see. Yeah, and for me anyway, it sounds a bit cooler with a bit of reverb on it. And you know you could do some other stuff like some delays and stuff with it just to get it a little just working a little bit more. But the track is pretty like straight up and clubby, and I don't think you want to make it too complicated. So yeah, just kind of getting that element to sit in there since it's such a main element of the track. But yeah, really solid stuff, man. I would play the shit out of that. All right, Dos Zen Sky. pretty cool. It could work like this bit at the start. It feels like there's a lot of reverb, a lot of like washiness going on, and it takes away from the beat and the bass being like really punchy and clubby and in front. So like it could work of like the intro to a DJ set or something in a big club, but for just like playing it in a club in the middle of a set, there's quite a lot of like washy craziness going on there, and the beat and the bass feels quite in the background. I do like, and it sounds like a really solid punchy beat and bass. So I don't know, I think you want it to be a bit more in front. So in the break, I think everything was going. Everything's really working well, until it gets to the break. For me, it like you kind of bring out the low end, but everything kind of stays pretty similar. It's not, there's no surprise or like wow moment, which is fine, but you you need to create dynamics within the arrangement and within the elements of the track, right? So I think you could strip it out a bit more, or you could. So then what happens is like you then like kind of build it up, but you haven't taken that many elements out, so it starts to get quite washy, and kind of overly full, and then when it drops back in, you bring in a whole bunch more elements. So it kind of like what I would recommend is like just stripping it out a little bit more, so that you can actually get a bit more power from the elements that you're using in the build up. And then maybe with these new elements like this sustained bass and this new melody thing, you could drop it in with like just those and the kick or something like that, or stripped back drums, stripped back atmospheric kind of things, to give it like a big contrast on where it was at before. Yeah, that would be what I'd try. next. In general, I think like the kind of like rolling groove that you've got for the track, really cool. I think you've totally nailed that. Now I would recommend just trying to make the arrangement a bit more exciting and create a bit more payoff. And I think there's I really like tracks like this to play from time to time, but what I find is like they often are a bit of an anticlimax. Like they have a cool groove like this, which is great, but then this kind of section can just be a bit underwhelming in a set, and I would kind of keep that in mind and try and make your track stand out. But really cool stuff. I think here you've got like a really subby kick with not much punch on it, and then you've also got a really subby bass. Okay, you haven't brought in the main bass yet. Yeah, no, so back to what I was saying, I think you kind of want to have one of those elements a bit more punchy, either the bass or the kick, because they're both quite subby and deep at the moment, and I think you want to create a bit of contrast between them so that there's more definition. Also, this like secondary bass sound that you've got is really loud. It seems like it's sticking out quite far of the mix. It's got a weird kind of mid-range boxiness to it as well, so you might want to scoop out some frequencies around like between like 100 and 300 hertz just to make it feel a bit tighter. You could also bring in the envelope of the sound, making it actually more tighter, and then put a bit of distortion on it or something like that to just kind of make it punch out of the mix but without being too loud.
believe before. Let's respect them. Let's love them. And keep that light in my heart.
Also recommend with the vocal, leave it for the breaks. Like when it's playing in here, it's occupying some of the same frequencies as your dubby synths, and they're very washy. So and then with the delay on the vocal and stuff, it just kind of makes it a bit messy. So I would like have them just playing in separate places so that they've got their own time to exist. And then you can kind of, so you've got the dubby synths, then you play the vocal, then yeah.
Represents the ants. Those that came before us. Those that left. Those that will leave before us. Of course, some of us are missed. They're up in the sky. But in spirit, they're with us. Like butterflies.
All right, Ollie, I think that's really cool, man. I really like the kind of dubby, washy vibe of the synths. I think that's really cool. I would probably rein back the delays a bit on the vocal just to kind of create a bit of contrast between that element and the synths. And then like the other feedback that I gave, yeah, I think that kind of bass stab, mid bass stab thing that you've got, I think that could be executed better. Maybe it's just a different sound or working that sound. Probably just try a different sound. But I think it will work where it's at. Just like try something different, a different sound, whatever. But really cool, really cool. Also, when you're like your mix isn't super well balanced, so I think it's and it will change when you put limiting on it when it's mastered. So it's always worth checking your mix with a limiter, because things like if you mix without limiting, you get it sounding exactly how you want it without limiting. Then you add limiting, the dynamics are going to change. So something that will happen generally is like hats will come up and bass will come up, and yeah. So it's always worth checking that. Okay, now we've got track 04, Push. BPM is this? This seems so fast. Let's see, 128. Okay, not insane. There's a lot going on, especially like for the intro of your track. Like there's like so much happens. You introduce so many elements before 30 seconds. You know, like I don't know. It's if you're making music for DJs, or I don't know, the arrangement seems a bit unconventional, let's say. So maybe this is just a sketch, I don't know, but the arrangement seems a bit odd, and that intro is going to make it quite difficult for DJs to play. Yeah, so I think you could leave a bunch of the stuff that you've got in the intro for this part in the break. Right, okay, so I can see now from looking at the waveform what is happening in your mix. It seems like your kick is pretty quiet and your bass and stuff is really loud, which I would say is never a good idea. You generally want to have your... Maybe Ableton hasn't warped this properly. I thought the new warping in Ableton was amazing. Anyway, was supposed to be amazing. Sorry, I'm a bit confused there. Yeah, it looks like it hasn't warped it properly. That's a bit shit. So maybe when I was checking the BPM, it wasn't even right anyway. Let's try it again. From here, straight. What's it saying? Yeah, 128 still. Anyway, okay. New Ableton has some issues, or me. Anyway, whatever. I think that you should bring up the volume of your kick, mate, because it just doesn't feel loud enough compared to the bass. I would always recommend that when you're mixing, you try to have your kick as like the main loudest thing in your track, your bass going in between it, and then your other things balanced around it. One other thing I would recommend about the kind of the arrangement for this, like you've got really cool elements, and in the break everything kind of sounds cool and works, but with your beat and then all of this stuff going on, I think it's just a bit too much. If you strip out some of the elements and have the beat a bit more stripped back, and then bring in those kind of pads and melodies and vocal and stuff in the break, I think that will be really cool. And then when it comes back, you take out some of that stuff, and then it creates like a contrast. Because in a club, this is going to just sound really, really washy, I think. So I think the idea is there. Just fix up the mix and try and like refine it a bit, create a bit more dynamics in the arrangement. Yo, what's up, Steve? Hope you had a good weekend, my friend. Okay. Soul Genesis. Let's go. I think this is a bit of a techno one from my memory. Jesus Christ, mate, that sounds like the soundtrack to Saw. No offense, it's just really not my thing. So yeah, taking taste out of it, trying to be objective. I think I guess you've got some cool ideas in there. What I would recommend is just trying to structure it into a track, because right now it just sounds like a sketch with random ideas. Like the parts that you've got there are quite full but quite loopy, so I would go through the process of like refining it a bit, trying to figure out what are the main key elements, you know, what's gonna hold people's attention, and then structure it into a track, because I think you've got everything there to make it into a track. But labels don't sign 2-minute loops, 3-minute loops, you know, so good stuff. Yeah, but I think it's always beneficial to get things arranged as close to their kind of end, arranged into a track as soon as possible, and then you can kind of better judge how everything's working, because the arrangement is oftentimes just as important as the things that you put into the track, right?
Where to go, no.
Really nice little bass stabs there.
Where to go, no. Baby.
this has got another similar issue to what I was saying before. Get your kick up louder. You've got like all of your bass and your synths and your vocal really loud, and the kick's not punching. So it's kind of like the foundation of the track is missing, which makes everything sound a bit thin. Yeah, so the first thing to do when you're balancing your track is just get that kick balanced. But the elements that you've got in there sound really cool. Some really nice, like glassy 80s kind of synths, the vocals sounding dope. Synths are on point, yeah.
Where to go, no. Where to go, no. Every day I don't know where you are. Where to go, no. Every day I don't know where you are. Where to go, no.
So I'm not sure if this is like finished or, and this is like your Spotify, your Spotify edit or whatever, or I don't know. I find it a bit odd when people are making electronic music and they arrange it as a like 3-minute Spotify thing. I don't know. Are there tracks that in like melodic techno progressive kind of thing that only exist on Spotify? I don't know. Let me know in the chat. It's not really my wheelhouse, but for me, I'm always thinking about the club first, because that's where this music makes sense to me. Yeah, so sort out your mix. The arrangement, I think I'd be interested to see how it's supposed to work for the club. But it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of dynamics in the arrangement. Like it's pretty static the whole way through. This is really cool. It's kind of like there's not a lot of intensity in the arrangement. Yeah, but and then the mix, just the mix really needs to punch harder in the low end with the kick. But the sound design is super good. Really, all the sounds like working really well together. So that's super dope to see here. Houston, my joy. See, now this looks like a track that's been arranged for an extended edit or whatever for the club. There's quite a lot of reverb on that clap, man. And your little snare fill is phasing. I really like that little boing kind of, I don't know, what's it, like an 8-bit kind of sound, like computer 8-bit, like a video game kind of thing. Don't know where you get sounds like that, but they're dope. Good start. I'm into it.
survive. But once upon a time, yes, I believe that lie. But sorry, no way, no how. You can't control my
Really love that acapella. I mean, I love the original. I think I've put it into a track a bunch of times, but I know that Janssens and Cinzella sampled it in a track on Richie Ahmed's label. So it's all, I've always kind of like gone, it's been used, but super good, and it really fits well in this context and does what it needs to do. It's kind of like, it's got a really cool kind of sits, it's like deep and soulful, but also got quite good energy. I think it's because it's an R&B track, so it's sped up a bit. Dude, this is seriously really good, really good. Obviously it's kind of in my wheelhouse of stuff that I like, so it's like, but objectively it's really good as well. And I think this track really points out some of the, or like illustrates some of the comments that I was making on other tracks about the arrangement. Like, it's not like there's, so like here when it's the beats playing and stuff, there's not too much going on. So like the main point of the track is obvious, everything's punchy, and then but then this sounds different to this. You know, there's contrast in the arrangement, which is really important in the dynamics. It's got like tension and release in the arrangement. It feels like a kind of, I don't know, a conversation. It feels like it flows through the arrangement. And I think that's something that's so important. You don't need to have a million elements in the track. You just need to use them in a way that keeps the listener engaged, and kind of that generally comes from like bringing things out, bringing things in, creating like moments. Really awesome stuff, Andy. Big track. Bit jealous that I never took the opportunity to do something with that vocal. Fortune favors the brave, the bold. Fortune favors the bold. Yeah. Sick. Joyful Wave, it's like a story, exactly, bro. that's how I think you should think about arrangement. It's like you start out not too complicated, because if you start a video, say you're making a movie, right? Telling a story. If you start out with something too complicated, too dramatic, too many plot lines going on, it's going to be too hard to follow for people. You can get there, but you need to do it in a way that engages people and that explains it to people. Really a style of music that I'm into. It kind of sounds like psytrance techno, but it's fucking awesome. I literally don't have any feedback for this. It's fucking sick, man. I don't know. Yeah, it's good. It really is a testament to some of the stuff that I was saying earlier about like keeping it simple in terms of like the number of it's definitely not simple. It's really, really, really well produced. The sound design is all like perfect. Everything's like there's like little details constantly, things are evolving, things are changing, but there's no like guessing as to what the track is about, what's the theme of the track. It's like it's right there, you know. It's not hard to understand, but it's like amazingly well executed. It's yeah. Yeah, really good, man. Really good. All right. Unknown. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to the next one. That was really good. Ollie, exactly, bro. Same. I feel like I need a little sit down after that. Like, need to go and get some water. So this thing that's happening in the background, it's like moving around my ears. I don't know if it's necessary. I think the other stuff that you've got is really cool. Or you could maybe like make it a bit more, like a bit thinner, like EQ out quite a lot of the lows. Just make it more of like a pad or something like that. Because I think it's, especially when that bass just dropped in, I think it's detracting from the rest of the track. We'll see how it evolves, but it's also, while it's moving, it's not really doing much, and it's quite loud, so it's quite obvious. Yeah, I reckon get rid of this pad thing, or at least like bring it down, thin it out a bit, make it a bit more atmospheric, and then all these other sounds are going to punch through a bit more, because it just feels a bit distracting to me. Yeah, I mean, everything keeps building and all the elements seem like they're really working well together. Just this one element. Also, like another thing is like with the beat, and then this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of almost like it's like an old school organ-y kind of sound, like an old school rave kind of thing. The bass and that organ sound are like playing quite robotic, like I guess it's like on the downbeat and the eighth note kind of patterns, and it makes the track feel quite robotic. So if you had some things on some 16th notes, when these stabs come in, these chord stabs come in, it doesn't feel, or that helps a lot. But if you had maybe some like percussion fills, like, or some rims, or just some hits in there to like make it feel a bit more groovy, I think would be cool.
Remember to expect the unexpected. I'm the grim. Yeah, I be hotter than the sauna. I'm the grim. You want to get it.
It's all there, man. Solid. Everything works. Just get rid of that one sound. Like you could have something in its place that's more like just a pad or something that's a little bit less intrusive, and then I think you're solid. All the elements work really well. It's dope. So here you can kind of hear what I've said earlier about testing your tracks with a decent amount of limiting, because as soon as I turned that limiter on to bring it up to like -9 LUFS, it the hats got a bit harsh. Really solid. I think that string is maybe about 5 dBs too high, and there's one bit where the volume or something drops out and it sounds a bit weird. Also, when you take it out here, it kind of stops abruptly, but it doesn't quite get to the point where something interesting happens. This little fills and stuff before the drop is really well executed. Sounds like really good. So if you just had the string like fading down, nice keys that just came in. They're really cool. The amount of resonance on them. Yeah, I think your hats are just a bit too loud. I think like yeah, I don't know. You could try just bringing all of the hats down by about 4 dB or something like that, 3 dB, 4 dB, or just try to rebalance them individually. It's good with them so loud I can't really hear if they're punchy because they just sound a bit brittle and harsh. It might even be this just main open hat, but yeah. I don't. So it feels a bit like lacks cohesion there, where you play the string, you bring it out, then you bring it back in. I would just leave the string out, and my same comments from earlier apply. Like bring the volume down, fade it out at the drop. But yeah, everything else other than a few kind of mixing things, it sounds really, really good. Hell yeah, man, this is really solid, really good stuff. Well done. Downpour, my man. You need to send me an update on our track that we're working on. Just be like personal thing. I mean, it probably is, but I feel like some of these like little glitchy bleepy sounds are a bit loud in the mix. They're kind of, for me, they're a bit distracting, but otherwise sounds really awesome. Another really good track. I mean, anyone who watches these streams pretty regularly is going to know that Downpour is one of the most consistent dudes that sends in tracks, both in terms of like regularity and them being consistently freaking good. This is no exception. I think it's one of the things that he does really well is like has this kind of call and response between the elements, so they kind of they add up to more than the sum of their parts. And that's I think one of the keys of making good, solid, engaging tracks is that having less things going on, but having them work for you, you know, in the track. So yeah, awesome. And I have to tell you, bro, I'm sorry, I just realized that I haven't sent off your demos, so I will send them to the label after this. All right, sorry about that, my bad. And I'm looking forward to hearing the your draft of the track, of our track. All is real, unnamed. Some of those notes there are out of key, I think. I don't know. I'm not an expert at that, but it sounded a little bit dissonant. Also, there's a lot of reverb on here. I guess you're going for like this kind of synthwavy type thing. But I think you still want to do it in a modern way, I assume. Or I would suggest. And this kind of like this really big washy reverb is kind of just making the whole track feel a bit dragging and a bit washed out. Very nice sound design here. I like that. feel like yeah, I mean, there's some seriously awesome sound design in here. That synth that came in here, that kind of created like the build up and stuff, was really, really cool. There was you need to watch some of the levels and some of it gets some really strong resonances going on. Excuse me. But in like it, yeah, really, really awesome having that one thing creating so much movement in the track. It feels here a little bit stale. Like you've shown a lot here, and then so I think you probably want to get a vocal in here. Maybe there's something coming, but it doesn't look like it by the waveform. But I would say like a really cool vocal would just like set this off. Really well done, and this is a serious vibe. I think just get a vocal in there, and careful with some of those resonances. Like the same thing happened again here in the break. I think it's really, really good. Well done. And again, the beat, get it more punchy. All right, Producer School 3. Now that is a sick name. All right. Does not need more cowbell. I think so that with that cowbell, I think having it on the downbeat makes the whole track sound really robotic. I think if you have it like 1/16 after the kick, it's going to sound a lot groovier, or maybe like 1/16 before the first clap, it's going to sound a lot groovier. Yeah.
Let me get my feet on the controls. Let me get my feet on the controls.
So right here, you've brought in quite a few elements, and I feel like they're not quite working together. They're not like bad elements, but they're not like really interacting. They're just kind of playing at the same time. That's my feeling.
Control. Controls. 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 Let me get my feet on the controls.
Maybe this main lead that's going, you could try doing without it. I don't know if it's like adding to the track.
Let me get my feet on the controls.
It's also quite repetitive, especially because having such a strong element in there that's not really doing too much makes the track feel like it's kind of the same things happening over and over again. I don't know, maybe it's just, maybe the lead sounds just not for me, but this is the feeling I'm getting. By the way, guys, and Vanta, sorry to jump in when we're listening to your track, but make sure you get in the Discord. Like, I assume that most of the people on here are Patreon members, so get in the Discord, and like you don't have to wait for the end of the month to send in your tracks for this. You know, there's people in there giving each other feedback every day, so it's really, really valuable. So I suggest everyone jump in there and take advantage of it. So this whole break just feels a bit like thrown in. It doesn't feel like you're really, it feels like you're putting in a break here and doing some stuff because that's what you're supposed to do. It doesn't really feel like you're telling me a story with the break. So I think maybe check out some reference tracks, try and reimagine like what is this break supposed to do? How's it supposed to make me feel? How's it going to make me excited? How's it going to make bring the energy up or bring the energy down? Try to kind of conceptualize it in terms of like energy and emotion, and then figure out how to put that into music production. Because at the moment it just kind of like goes da 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 da, kick and bass, da 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 da. It's like not really, it's not grabbing me, and this is the part of the track that should be like creating intensity for me.
Controls. 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 Let me get my feet on the controls.
Yeah, man, it's cool. I think just keep working on it. Some of the things I mentioned about like the cowbell, the groove, maybe try ditching the lead or try something else, and then really try and think about the story that you're telling, especially in the breaks. But really, I think it's cool. It's solid. All right. Joe Reality version 1 pre-master. Let's give it some limiting then. Vanta, make sure you jump in the Discord, bro. There's like loads of cool people in there giving each other feedback, so you can get feedback on your tracks as they're going. Lush pads, Joe. So Vanta, check out this, like where he's got the beat and stuff going on, but without something like the lead that you had in your track, and everything's just kind of a bit more like pumping, right? It's just like it's more simple. I think keep it simple is like the key, man. Joe, this is really good, man. Everything sounds really nice, well mixed, on point. Super nice bass. So I'm not the most musical dude, but I feel like there could have been a bit more, something a bit more interesting or catchy going on with that organ bass riff. Joyful Wave probably has a better, it can give you some better advice on that. But I think if you just play around, do something a little bit more out of the box, and just try and get something a bit more catchy. But it's almost there. I think the sound fits perfectly. I think you could just do something that was a little less safe. like with the organ, I think like the dun 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 is really cool, and then but then if you had something that's a bit more playful after that, so it's like dun 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 dun. Well, fuck, I don't know. I can't really sing it, but you know, just something that's contrasting with that descending pattern. Yeah, really solid stuff, really classy, Joe. Also really well done with, like, especially through the break. It's like compared to you have, it's not like you're adding a whole bunch of crazy stuff in the break, but everything's moving and keeping interesting, and you bring out things so that the bits that are playing have their moment to shine. And yeah, really, really well done. Super good how you've got everything moving throughout. This one looks loud. So in the break here, these elements that you've got, these kind of Rhodes kind of chords and stuff that you've got going, it feels like you've EQ'd out quite a lot of the low end, and they feel a bit thin. If I would just recommend, instead of like, it sounds like you've kind of gone like this, and I would recommend instead of doing that, that you just do it a bit more gently, something like this. And then if you feel like you don't want them to be interfering with your kick and the bass, or you feel like they are interfering with your kick and bass, then you can kind of give them a bit of a cut here when the kick and bass comes back in. But I feel like it just feels a bit thin in the drop, in the break here. It also emphasizes, they're quite resonant, so it emphasizes that resonance and it makes them feel a bit harsh. Unbalanced, I guess, is like how they feel. Yeah, I definitely think those keys need a bit more extension in the low end. But very, very nice. I love that kind of thing.
We can keep it on the low.
I feel like that vocal is maybe a bit, for the style of the track, I feel like that vocal could be a bit more natural sounding. I'm not sure where it's sampled from or whatever, but it sounds like it's got quite a bit of reverb on it. I would rein that in a little bit, and try and have it closer to sounding, as a bit more natural as possible. Because the track, it's obviously it's house music, but it feels quite like, like it's, how do you say it? Like, organic's not the right word, but like, like soulful and not like overly processed, like Afterlife kind of style,
We can keep it on the low. We can keep it on the low.
So you want to be careful here with the vocal and these organs, these Rhodes keys, that they're not like, I would recommend trying to probably like have one play and then the other play, because when they're played together, they're just kind of like fighting for the space. In general, I think you want to be quite careful with the keys because they're getting quite harsh and resonant in places. So
We can keep it on the low.
so it sounds like the keys and the vocal are like melodically doing something similar, maybe not exactly the same notes, but so that would work to have like one be like a call and the other one a response, rather than having them playing at the same time.
We can keep it on the low. Low. Just between me and you. We can keep it on the low. We can keep it on the low. Just between me and you. We can keep it on the low. Just between me and you. We can keep it on.
I think especially now that there's more vocal playing, I agree with what I said earlier, that take away some of that reverb, get it sounding a bit more natural, and just like a really natural amount of reverb to like fit it in the space of the track. I think that's going to be sick. The vibe is really, really good. Marcel, I think you want to have a kick that's got a bit more punch. This one's like very, very subby. So here you've got quite a lot going on, and so you've got like this little melody in the background, you've got the kick and the bass, and then some quite strong percussion. and it's not really rhythmically working together. And the type of track that you're trying to make here is all about the rhythm, right? So what I recommend is like, I guess you probably, yeah, so you want to get your kick so it's got some top end on it, so it's punching, so it's kind of like really the foundation of the low end, and then the bass rolling between it, and then the other elements that you've got, just like follow that groove. It almost sounds like there's things going out of time with each other here. So I think this is like, so for context for anyone else who's wondering, I work with Marcel, he's a mentoring student of mine, so I have a bit more of an understanding of what he's trying to do. I think the general vibe is good, but the execution is not quite there, and the foundation of the track is lacking. But I think it's fixable, and we can talk about why that's happening. But I think like the percussion and stuff isn't right for the track, and you just need to kind of simplify it a little bit and like go through this process of like building up the track from like the foundation and making sure that all the elements are working with each other and that it's kind of working cohesively, because the vibe is cool. It's just not quite slotting in together. So I'm just going to chuck a kick in here and then EQ out the bottom of it. So it's not even in time. Fuck. What's up with this new Ableton? It's putting everything out of time. This is like the second track that I've tried to warp and it's all out of time. Right? I thought this warping engine was supposed to be like the best thing ever. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I think the vibe's really cool, man. It's like got the potential to be a cool track. I think just yeah, you need to work on the foundation because you got the vibe right. So let's just listen again to this kick and. Yeah, I don't know. As Steve Kelly said, a new kick will do wonders for this track. So my advice to anyone is like find a kick that works and use it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you make a new track, or at least find a kick that works and then try to understand why that works. And then when you search for a new kick, keep that in mind and find something that has the same characteristics. Pintaro Brothers, Deep and True. It feels like some of these things are a bit disjointed, like they need a bit of delay or reverb or something to kind of carry them through. Like it sounds like you've got this sample that's kind of happening but then getting lost. Let me just restart this. Yeah, just something to kind of connect some of these bits, and this like little melodic stabby riff that's come in feels a bit static and dry. So I just added a bit of delay on that riff during the break, and to me it sounds cooler. I think also your hats sound quite washy. There's not really a lot of body to them, so I would try switching it out. Get a with pretty much everything in your track, you want to have contrast. So if you've got one hat that's like light and brushy and bright, you want to have another one that's got a bit more body and a bit more punch, and then they're going to sit nicely together and create something that's bigger than each of them. really like the vibe of this vocal. Yeah, I think this is, it's got all the right elements in there. I just think maybe rework the beat to be a bit more punchy, a bit more upfront, and then try and make sure that all the elements are kind of sitting in the same space and kind of rolling together with a bit of delay and reverb. But the vibe is really on point. All right. Anyway, as you can probably see, I'm moving through these a bit quicker now because we are running quickly out of time. Really cool vibe. This pad that's in the background has got so much reverb on it. It's like a bit over the top, I think, the amount of reverb on it. Yeah, but it's cool. Like that bass with the bit crush on it. It's really cool. Yeah, Joyful Wave just mentioned in the chat making the kick a bit shorter. Like, if you look at the waveform of the kick here, it's like a potato. So it takes up a lot of space. I think, yeah, having something that kind of decays a little bit more, because it's not like super long, like one of these big long 808 kind of kicks, but it's just taking up a lot of space, especially within when you've got this big loud bass. You can kind of see in the waveform here that there's not a lot of definition between the kick and the bass. So I think if I EQ your low end, EQ so I think you want there to be like, yeah, just a bit more separation between the kick and the bass. It works like audibly because of the bit crushing on the bass, sorry. But I think if you can get the actual waveforms to have a little bit, give each other a bit more space, then it's going to be on point. This like background texture is really, it kind of sounds like I'm underwater or something. I think maybe you could use it, just have it quite a bit quieter. Right, I get the vibe you're going for. I think it's like, I think you're getting the vibe with the like atmosphericness, but I think it's too much. I think it's taking away from the actual track a bit. So I think you just want to rebalance some of that atmospheric stuff against the main like drive of the track. But really solid. It kind of, because this atmosphere that you've got kind of sounds like quite phasey, like you've like a really low quality MP3, like it's, I don't know, like 20 kilobits per second or something. Like there's a bunch of information missing. But I mean, really solid production. Maybe I also just have no idea about the style you're going for. It's really long. 10 minutes. Kick slaps like Will Smith, I like that. Yeah man, huge. Okay, we are going through these super quick guys. I've got to get out of here. I've heard that this somewhere in another track. Be careful when you're using samples that, or maybe it's just that I know it from somewhere, but you know, I think you always want to keep that in mind when you're using stuff from Splice or Loop Cloud, that if people know it, it kind of loses a little bit of the magic. Right, so you've got quite a few different sounds, I would say. Like you've got this kind of quite squelchy sounding bass and kind of, yeah, a lot of unique kind of sounds going on. I would say make everything, if you try to make everything unique or kind of stand out, then nothing will stand out. It's like when you're mixing, if you try to make everything loud, then nothing is loud, right? So if you have everything sounding a bit more kind of run-of-the-mill and then this really squelchy bass, it's going to sound like the bass is going to be like extra emphasized, right? But if you've got this really squelchy bass and then this really squelchy lead and then a whole bunch of stuff happening on top of each other, everything gets lost. So if you want to have something that stands out, then you need to have other elements that aren't overpowering it or aren't competing with it. Brooklyn. You're a really, really low kick in here, pal. Lucky that it's got a bit of knock on the top, or we wouldn't even be hearing that. I would say it needs to be up about 4 semitones or so. Yeah, I think something that a lot of people do, maybe depending on where they're producing, is make their low end way too low. Like, you don't need your kick or your bass to be hitting at 20 hertz in order to make it sound like bassy in the club, right? In fact, that just, it can kind of take away energy, or that area has so much energy that when it's too full, it just overpowers the whole rest of the track, especially when it's loud. And that's what's going to happen here. When you play this on a large sound system, it's going to sound out of whack. The low end's going to just be too big, and then you've got this like really chilled rest of the track. Yeah, like the track feels a bit empty because there's a lot going on in the hi-hats, and the high end is quite high and quite brittle, and the low end is very low. You've got a very, very low kick and a very subby bass, so there's kind of nothing happening in the main kind of, let's say, personality of the track. Like if I take out this high and low information, it's just, you can't even hear the bass. So you want, I think you want to move everything up like an octave or I don't know, something. But yeah, keep that in mind when you're writing your parts, about how you don't want everything to be too subby or too high. And if you have too much, it's the stuff in between that makes the personality of the track. All right, Ian, we are almost out of time, my friend, so this is going to be quick. Right, so there's like almost no movement in the hats. I think don't be scared to like use a top loop, bro, because let me grab one here. Let's just try that. I need to warp this. Warp from here. So I warped it. Right. Don't believe the hype about Ableton's new warping engine. It doesn't seem to be up to fuck all as far as I can see. With this and a couple of other issues that I've had, I'm almost thinking about going back to the previous version for the time being. Anyway, let's have a look at N's track. So it was 128, right? See, like just putting a single top loop in there along with what you've got is going to kind of fill things out a bit, make it feel a bit more, yeah, a bit more full and a bit more like there's something going on. On this like 16th note hi-hat that you've got, get some sidechain going on there. Like we'll just assume that it's just that playing, and you can kind of, if you just focus your ears onto that hi-hat with a bit of sidechain from the LFO tool or however you want to sidechain, just having that pumping helps it groove a bit. In general, pretty cool. Just get a bit more movement into it, get a bit more depth in the drums, and should be sweet. Alright guys, thanks everyone who sent in tracks. Sorry to the people that were at the end there that didn't get as much airtime as the others, but you know, that's how it is. If you get in early, then we go through the full thing. Alright, make sure that you are in the Discord. You got to be there. There's good shit going on. There's a bunch of like really knowledgeable people helping each other out, sharing their music, sharing their releases, and sharing their thoughts on things. So yeah, it's really good. We just launched it 2 weeks ago, and yeah, things are shaping up nicely. So make sure you jump in there, especially if you're a patron. Like, why not? Yeah, cool. So that will be about it for today. Next week I've got a release coming out on Crosstown Rebels, which is like a dream come true, so please check that out. If you like it, support it. It's, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. So let's see you in the Discord. Have a good Sunday, everyone. Talk soon. Ciao.